You're listening to Tabletop Arcanum, a podcast dedicated to learning and exploring the hobby of tabletop gaming. Your hosts are Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, so sit back and relax as we talk, discuss, and joke our way through the hobby we love so much.
Rhino rampages through the streets of New York. Claw masterminds a team of fearsome criminals. Ultron threatens nuclear annihilation. The world needs champions to stop these villains. Are you up to the task? Marvel Champions, the card game, is a cooperative living card game that invites you to embody the world's most iconic heroes. This core set allows up to 4 players to combine their efforts and thwart the twisted schemes of 3 different villains. Discover extraordinary powers, battle the forces of evil, and experience the Marvel universe like never before. And welcome to Tabletop Arcanum. We're your hosts,
Justin
and Ricky, and we're coming at you a little early this time because Justin got his hands on a copy of Marvel Champions, the LCG, just brought out by Fantasy Flight Games.
Just brought out, slightly not out yet because certain stores were able to do an early release last week, which was a week early. Official release is November 1, so that's where everybody's going to have it everywhere. So we're going to bring you some of our hot take on it to see if this is something that you want to invest in and maybe hero up. Mm-hmm. So, again, we did play this during Gen Con. So we got the demo, we got the little bit of a feel.
We played a lot of it during Gen Con. It was a lot of fun.
But there's a bit of a demo mode versus actually getting your hands on the game and getting a little bit deeper dive on it. So let's first talk about a little bit of a role recap. Anything that you've played since we recorded last, other than D&D that we just wrapped up before this?
We just got done on playing D&D. I mean, I, of course, have played just the basics. Harry Potter. We were just moving this week. I mean, we are recording 1 week after our last one, so we haven't had much time. And this entire last weekend, I was moving furniture. So, yeah. Now I have tables to play stuff on. Right.
That's plus.
Yeah.
Where I had, a session of Gloomhaven since we recorded last, which went pretty well. It was a little twisty-turny, but trying out some new classes that we had just unlocked and created new characters for, so they were fun. Very different from what we're used to. I'm playing a very up-in-your-face character that's similar to the Scoundrel that you get when you first open the game, but a little less mobile, but a lot more damage dealing.
Nice.
I kind of want the Scoundrel back because I liked being able to be very mobile around the board, but that's just my play style. The other night, we also had a board game night at the local shop, and that was Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein. So it was a worker placement, building your own Frankenstein monster.
How'd you like that? Because I was
really
looking
cool.
into. Is it okay? Because I know we talked about it when it was announced. And I was taking a look at it, and
I wasn't too impressed at that time. Mechanically, it's very good.
Nice.
There's a couple different things going on. So the resources you collect are like organs and bits and stuff from whether it's the morgue, the cemetery, the hospital, or just murdering somebody in a dark alley somewhere for bits and blood.
As one does, yeah.
So it's 4 different resources, kind of like a worker placement resource management game. And the idea is bones don't degrade. So bones are bones. They're good. Kind
That's
of
fair, yeah.
But you can own your quality of pieces that you build are based on how fresh your pieces are.
The squishy bits expire.
Yeah, every turn they degrade a little bit, and they essentially have 4 stages, but depending on where you get your corpses from is kind of where they start on that track too. So you can go to the cemetery and you're getting grade 3, grade 4 material. You're not getting your grade A beef there, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's interesting going with that, and each character, each player plays a different scientist or doctor, and the idea is everyone has their own little personality twerks. Mine was more of a surgeon, so I started out with a little bit more intellect and a little bit more of a head start that way. And every round I was able to reduce the cost of something I was building. So if I was building a leg and it required XYZ parts, I could use one less to do that. We had another person who, because there's a moral compass in the game, obviously, if you murder people in the back street, you kind of really don't care about humanity, which ends up being negative points for you. Mm-hmm. But his character never moved off 0. He could never gain morality, but he could never lose it either. He was a psychopath. So he never got points positive or negative for that scale, but he never had the penalty that the rest of us had to deal with. So it's a neat game. A lot of, basic worker placement stuff in there. It's a little bit more advanced. There are definitely more, I would say this is more medium weight, where Lords of Waterdeep is a little more lightweight, and things like Caverna are more heavyweight. So kind of hits that middle heavy theme, but still a lot of mechanics going on in it. Liked it.
Nice.
And then that was the same night that we were able to pick up Marvel Champions, so the local store had it, and we picked it up and started playing it right away and started playing it. And then I kind of played it over the weekend and played it again and read the rules and deck build and toyed with the card pool just to kind of see what this thing does out of the box. So, yeah, I've been busy.
And then also over the weekend, you didn't do one, you did 2 separate escape rooms.
Right.
So I mean, you've been busy. You've been real busy.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's what I do.
Good.
So let's crank into Marvel Champions. First impressions. Go.
I mean, like everything that Fantasy Flight does that I'm going to gush over, the art is very solid on it. It's a comic booky game, so I mean...
Not paid by Fantasy Flight to say that. That's just what you do.
Yeah. I'm all about aesthetics. So, I mean, the art on the cards is really fun. The overall feel of the game itself is just super fun looking. You feel like you're actually in a comic book playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So using like authentic art and authentic looking comic art is really nice. Box itself is actually a nice little sturdy, larger than average card game box. So it's actually bigger than any of the other LCG boxes that they've released at this point. So much so that they actually have an insert. The first time I've Fantasy Flight has actually in a long, long time. I have some old games of theirs that actually have inserts, but it isn't just a flimsy cardboard insert that you like look at and go, well, that's nice, and now it's useless. It actually has a nice plastic insert in there for your cards.
Yeah.
The downside is that there's notches for dividers, but it doesn't actually give you dividers.
That's a little obnoxious.
And sleeve cards kind of don't fit. I'm even using like their official Fantasy Flight sleeves on them, and the slots are just tight enough where they don't work very well. So it's not necessarily like it's like a really good effort that just barely missed the mark.
Yeah.
I will say I'm very happy with the direction that if I see more games coming with inserts, they can work on the craft of making those inserts better. Take a look at games like Lords of Waterdeep of how to do that. But as a starting point, this is at least a step in the right direction. So first impressions, I do like it. A lot of cardboard chunks as far as your damage, your threat, all of those kind of pieces. Everybody gets a dial, so it's like a little miniature dial. There's a bigger counter that is for the bosses and the nemesis. Not the nemesis, the
villains.
The villain.
Yeah.
All of those are, nice standard quality, very, traditional, what you'd expect out of a Fantasy Flight product at that point. It's kind of weird because, for me, playing both Lord of the Rings years ago and then eventually expanding into, additional core sets and getting the newer updated core, the small hero dials are like the small hero dials that you get in the new core of Lord of the Rings, where the villain one is the old original Lord of the Rings, big chunky one. I kind of wish they made the numbers a little bit bigger on it, because if everyone's supposed to see it, it's a little bit on the tinier side as far as the number windows go.
Yeah.
For your personal health, that makes sense. On the bigger one, I would have liked to see it be a little bit more bold or in your face.
Yeah.
Especially because it can go up to the hundreds of hit points. Ultimately, very good first impressions overall. I'm a sucker for comic art. I've played so many comic book card games at this point because I played Versus when it came out back in the 2000s. And then I've played Legendary since it's come out and kept up with it and kept playing it because, one, the art and the gameplay is, solid, and I really enjoy it as a deck builder. This is doing something slightly different that I will be talking about in the pros. So, first impressions. Nice game out of the box. Things that it does well. Actually, and before we talking about things it does well, let's talk about a little bit of the overview. So each player plays a particular hero and builds a deck around it. You have your hero card and alter ego, so you can be Spider-Man or Peter Parker. And during your turn, you can flip that card over to be one or the other. And that comes with some game advantages. The ultimate goal is the bad guys are trying to scheme and add threat tokens to their thing until they do the thing that they're trying to do. Or they beat you up. And if you're an alter ego and you're Peter Parker, they don't know who you are, so they're going to scheme and get away with whatever they're trying to work on. But if you're Peter Parker, that's when you're there trying to stop them and they're attacking you. So it's a very interesting mechanic because you have to kind of play, we don't want them to scheme, but can I take an attack, or do I have to take a turn to be Peter Parker and hide and recover for a round? It's very cooperative in the sense that you can kind of defend for each other. You can attack each other's minions that have attached to you. It's very team-based, and I love it for that. The decks themselves, you get your hero card, you get your hero card, so that each character in the core box at least, that being Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Spider-Man, She-Hulk, and Black Panther. All of them come with 15 cards that start is what I consider the seed of your deck, and they're a little bit more powerful, a little bit more this is what Spider-Man does sort of cards. And then you pick one of 4 aspects, which are your themed cards to kind of build around, and that's aggression, leadership, justice, or protection. And you can make any hero any one of those 4 aspects, and then you have a bunch of generic basic cards to kind of fill in the backfill. So you got a lot of flexibility in what you're trying to build, and typically you can put up to 3 cards that aren't unique, and you can put 1 copy of any unique card. So if you have Hawkeye as an example, is a unique card because there's only 1 Hawkeye. You can only have 1 in your deck. You can only have 1 Nick Fury in your deck. But those tend to be pretty powerful cards that have a little bit more lasting oomph. So you kind of get going with that. When you play a card, I love the mechanic that they have here because it has a cost costs X amount. So say it costs 2, you have to discard cards with enough resources to pay for it. And most cards, it's a 1-for-1 card. Some cards have more than 1 resource, but usually to pay for 2, you're discarding 2 other cards to play that 3rd card. So you're really having to control your hand and making those tough choices of I do want to hold on to this, but I really need to play this other card. Neat mechanics going on there. And the big thing that they're toting with this particular one, not only does it have an insert, which is shocking and new, this is the first LCG you only need to buy 1 copy of the core set to have a complete play set of cards. There's a small caveat to that. You only get 1 set of protection cards, 1 set of leadership cards, 1 set of all the aspects like that. So, though you can have 2 protection characters out at the same time in the table, and that doesn't matter, that's where your friend's going to need their own core if they want to run the same aspect as you. Not the end of the world, and as the card pool grows, it's going to be even easier to pull that stuff off. Yeah. But initially, that would be the only little caveat that says it's 1 core, but if you want to run 4 aggression heroes out of 1 core, you're going to need 4 cores then. That's something okay. It's a little weird. because in the core also you get 3 copies of most cards, but if you only need 1 Hawkeye, they only give you 1 Hawkeye. So they don't get multiple of those uniques either. It's a little weird coming from trying to make sure I have everything, but that's just me being nitpicky about it.
That kind of makes sense that if you're playing with your friends out of your box and there's only supposed to be 1 Hawkeye on the field, they should only have 1 Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. But I know personally, and I know you're the same way too, with like Arkham, where you may build more than 1 deck for like different groups. Mm-hmm. So you may want to have that second Hawkeye to throw into your second
deck.
Second deck. So yeah, a little.
It's not the end of the world, and as the hero packs start coming out and they start reprinting some of those basic cards and things like that, it's going to get better. They already said that the idea is, and going back on another first impression, this game came with 2 pre-built decks, individually wrapped. Mm-hmm. It was a Spider-Man deck and a Captain Marvel deck that were ready to go out of the box, out the cellophane. I didn't have to do anything but shuffle it. Likewise, the Rhino's easy scenario, the easiest scenario that you can build out of the core set, was pre-built for me. So when you open this box, you are ready to run right off the gate. You don't have to sort through cards. You don't have to look at anything else. You open 3 little packs, which are individually taken care of, and you're good to go. That's totally different than we've ever seen. And it's the approach that this is such an easy game to get into because they're doing all of the hard work for you. The hero packs coming up, when they release Captain America and Miss Marvel and Thor will be the 3rd one, you will have a pre-built deck out of that pack ready to go. You can bring it off the shelf, ring it up at the counter, go into the game area and play right then and there. Sleeve optional, as taste prefer. So, and then each pack's going to have a little extra cards, and in order to make those pre-built decks, they're going to have some reprinted cards that are like your core basic cards that are like, these are pretty easy auto-includes. Skill boosting cards, things of that nature that make a lot of sense to kind of have on those early decks until we get more card pool. So, it's really neat to see that approachability in this game. Mm-hmm. It's encouraging you to say, let's go right now. So, those are all positive features of it, too. Mechanically, it's really nice. It's clean. I really think the design space of the heroes are going to be interesting. Right now, we're only seeing kind of Avengers-type characters, so I kind of want to see what's next. They've said that they're going to expand into other... kind of like whatever they want to do is kind of up to them. So if we, are we going to see a Deadpool box? Are we going to see the X-Men? Are we going to see Fantastic Four? Are we going to see Guardians? Like, I kind of just want it all now because I want to play with all these heroes. And I think after years of playing Legendary, it's hard to say,
you can only play these 5.
Here's 5 with more to come. And it's only... The LCG model is like there's going to be a pack every month. Mm-hmm. So how, I'm going to get my Captain American pack. And then I got to wait for Miss Marvel. And then I have to wait for Thor. So like if I'm a Thor fan, I'm waiting like maybe 3 months or 4 months to see him. Mm-hmm. Not to say that any of these heroes are bad choices. I'm just saying everyone has their favorite. And... if your favorite's on this box or in the next couple months, you don't even know if it's when or if they're coming. Yeah. Like those Wolverine fans out there have no idea where Wolverine or when Wolverine will show up.
You are lucky in the fact that your favorite Marvel hero is Captain America, so yours is coming out right away. Right. Like you said, I would go with Wolverine, so it's just kind of, will we start seeing the X-Men? Are they going to...
When... Yeah. With a lot of those big name popular characters, I think that's just going to be the matter of when we're going to see them. It does have some unique, interesting rules, specifically when it comes to unique characters. Because, honestly, if you're a comic book fan, there's been many, many different Captain Americas. Mm-hmm. You got your classic Steve Rogers, which is the one that's coming up first, but then Bucky Barnes held the shield at one point. Sam Wilson, who was also the Falcon, also had the shield at one point. So taking those three, technically in the uniqueness rules, because of the identities of multiple Captain Americas, you could run, assuming that they were released, a Sam Wilson Captain America, a Bucky Barnes Captain America, and a Steve Rogers Captain America all at the same time. Because the uniqueness rules look in the fact that they have different identities.
Yeah.
Though they have the same name, they are different versions of that character, or different people per se. Same thing like on the table. If Hawkeye actually becomes a playable character, not just a card, like an ally card, that will have a different dynamic too. And they've already kind of built that into the rules, which I appreciate, because as a comic fan, I know it's coming up. So the good news is there's so much potential and so much growth. And taking a moment talking about the villains, you have Rhino, which is kind of a Spider-Man villain. We got Spider-Man in the box. We got Claw, classic Black Panther villain, very easily one of the most recognizable ones. And then you have, though I guess with the Marvel movies, Killmonger's more of the villain they set up, but comic book readers know Claw is really the guy.
Yeah.
And then you have Ultron, which is a classic Avengers villain, period. Kind of aims it at Stark and Iron Man, but definitely just an overall Avengers villain. And they go in difficulty in that order. Each one can also be set up as 2 different difficulty levels. So they have a stage 1, stage 2, and a stage 3 that you get. You essentially, if you're doing easy mode, you can do stage 1 to stage 2. If you're doing expert mode, you can do start with stage 2 and then go to stage 3. Likewise, some of the villain deck is built in, so there's a little bit of flexibility in how you build the villain deck. The other great thing that we haven't talked about is the obligations. So no matter who's played, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Black Panther, they all have a alter ego obligation. Peter Parker is really bad at money. Is always scraping for money. So his is an eviction notice. And it's somewhere when you're playing Peter Parker, that gets his eviction notice card gets shuffled into the villain deck that can pop out at any time. So sometimes it's like, oh crap, I have to go take care of this thing because otherwise bad stuff will happen. And so it gives that player a hard choice when that card comes up, and it's somewhere in there because you're playing Spider-Man. So seeing that little interplay of how your character selection is adjusting the deck a little bit. It's not a huge change, but a little bit of affection in there.
Yeah.
That's another one of those really cool design spaces that they have. So it actually feels you get these comic book moments of, all right, Iron Man has gotten all of his armor pieces up and going, so he flies around, repulsor blast, chest cannon, and does 20 plus damage because it went bananas.
Yeah.
So seeing all that stuff, it kind of tells you your comic book story in those senses. Rhino can get a charge attached to him, which gives him twice the amount of damage, and it's a bleed over damage. So if you block with an ally, the ally takes some of it, but then the rest of it comes to you, which is normally not a thing. It normally the ally can take it all, and they discard it for you. But that's Rhino. Once he's going, you don't stop him.
Yeah.
So I love seeing those sorts of stories come to life, and it's something that I didn't really get in Legendary. And the primary reason is in Legendary, the deck builder, we have 5 heroes in this pool of deck that pop up randomly, and I'm building with all of them. Not just my deck is Iron Man, and all I have is Iron Man stuff going on, and I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I love.
Yeah.
It takes away. It's the Arkham Horror effect. You are that investigator. You are this hero.
You get a little more personalized with them. You get a lot more of a good feel for them.
You own it.
Or you get as for negatives, the big negative is, even though it says that it's 1 core box, this may have to buy 2 anyway, because you may have to, if you want to run second attribute deck.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad, because I'm just going to convince my friends to buy their own.
Yeah. I'm going to be buying my own.
So
personally,
like as long as you have a play group that's willing to buy like a couple cores amongst the group, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if you're the only person you want to play solo, and you want to run 2 aggression decks at the same time, that's when you're going to have the issue. Honestly, right now the card pool is very tight. To build a legal deck is 40 to 50 cards. 15 of those come from your hero, so really you're building, so 25 to 35 cards is what you're adding, and most of that's going to be your aspect, and then you're going to flush it out with some of the generic basic cards. There's only really like 20 or so, or 25 or so aspect cards that you get to throw in there, and that's saying using 3 copies of this, using 2 copies of this, or 1 copy of some of these allies. So it's tight. There's not a lot of flexibility in the deck. The flexibility, I will say, is each hero can be any of the 4 aspects. So you can have a protection Spider-Man and aggression Spider-Man, and that's where you're going to get a little bit of a mix-up right now. But if you want to tweak what that aggression or protection is doing, we got to wait for more cards to come out.
Yeah.
The good news is, with Captain America being leadership, the leadership pool is going to get a big boost in the next pack when that comes out. Miss Marvel's protection, so she's going to get a big bump. And protection's going to get a big bump that way. I'm guessing, I don't think it's been confirmed, but I'm guessing Thor's probably going to be aggression. Just kind of based on, I think, the comic book version where he's a little bit more beefy, hulky, Thor smash sort of situation. So it'll be interesting seeing the 4 aspects once they get that first hero pack out for each of them. Because right now it's just tight. Yeah. It's not a bad thing, but it reminds me of the first, Arkham core, the first, I'm still waiting for the first Mythos packs to kind of give it a little lifeblood in it. Just a negative right now, something that should eventually correct itself given a year in the game.
So your overall feelings on the game, how are you feeling? I know when we talked during Gen Con, we had big dreams of this game. Just expecting it to do really well.
I think it's going to do well.
Okay.
I want a little bit more campaign play out of it, which is supposedly more of the organized play kits that are coming out, and some undisclosed deluxe boxes. So I think that's going to be down the road and in the future is what I'm looking for out of it. But initially, I think out of the box, it has a great presence. I think it has a lot of good art and fun stuff going on with it. You like the art. The one thing I have a little bit of a problem with is the aspects are 4 colors, and the heroes kind of use some of those colors, like red is aggression, and some of the cards will refer to a red aggression card or red card. But Tony Stark has red on the back of his mixed in with his cards, and so does Spider-Man, and so does Captain Marvel. Actually, all 3 of them have like red as one of their primary colors on their cards. So you got to pay attention a little bit, to that. But overall, I think it's good. I like it a lot. We have some good potential in the game. I think it has some good flow right out of the box. I just think we need a little bit, some more cards to build decks with right now.
Yeah.
I would recommend this anyone interested in LCGs. This is the time to jump on when it first starts, because now's the time.
And honestly, for people I suggest too, I would say even younger kids, as long as they can start reading. It's not like your Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic, anything like that, where it's competitive. It's a way for you to teach your son, daughter, brother, sister, niece, nephew, anything, how to play a card game in a non-competitive environment. So,
and it doesn't have the creepy, gory factor that Arkham sometimes can.
Oh, yeah. And I mean,
so it's a lot nicer and cleaner and more family friendly.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah.
Who would you not recommend this for?
Ooh. I mean, I'm not going to recommend this for anyone who's expecting not to have to ever buy anything and have infinite replay value.
Yeah.
This isn't your like Monopoly where you can just bust that out and hate your family all over again.
You're gonna. This thing needs more to
Yeah.
it. It's a good start, but you need to add to the collection to get some more lifeblood and more plays out of it. And ironically, I probably would not recommend this to DC fans.
Fair enough.
Because, it's Marvel.
Yeah.
I kind of sit on the border if I like my Batman and I do like my Captain America. But if I had to choose one or the other, I'm choosing Marvel.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
All day, every day.
Unless Scott Snyder was the exclusive Batman writer forever on Eons, I may choose Batman Scott Snyder over Marvel, but it's a very corner case, and we could talk about that later.
Yeah. But, yeah. So, on top of everything else, we do have a
fun announcement brought to you by Arbits. We are going to be giving away a set of threat tokens. And I'll put the link in the description for Arbit's website themselves. They make these nice fiberglass tokens to up your. Right now, you got damage and threat, so we're going to get a pack of the threat tokens to raffle off, and it's really cool because it kind of gives that little bit more flash, a little bit better quality than just a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, if you've ever heard me gush over Justin's Arkham tokens, they're Arbit's tokens. They are beautiful. They're beautiful. They feel good. They look good. We'll definitely throw some pictures up on all of our social medias, as well as throw up how to jump or how to enter.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely keep an eye on our Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. We'll have it all up on there, and chances are we'll have it up before this episode goes up. So
likely story.
Yeah.
So that kind of does it for our review of Marvel Champions, the LCG card game. Coming up next,
we're going to be doing another one next week. So I mean, you're getting a lot of us lately. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear us, and you're welcome if you do want to hear us. We're going to be talking Mansions of Madness.
Second edition.
We are going to be going through that. It is not the newest of games, but we figured since we just gave you this a week early, that we'd...
We'll tap back into the backlog a little bit.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Yeah. Enter that contest for Arbit's tokens, and we will see you on the flip side. And let us know who you were excited to see in this Marvel Champions game. So hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, carrier pigeons.
Smoke signals. I'm starting to get into those. I mean,
nice.
Yeah.
I get messages in the bottle. I don't know who they are for, though.
It's really weird because I keep seeing you fish them out of your bathtub.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't think that they should be coming that way.
Nope. Probably some eldritch mystery of, some elder god trying to summon me. We'll see.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Till next time, this is Justin.
And Ricky.
Ciao. You've been listening to Tabletop Arcanum, hosted by Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, and featuring the original music by Paul Moore and Isaac Gilbert. You can follow us on most social media platforms. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. As always, thanks for listening.